All right, so today there are 440 children in foster care in Chatham County. Savannah Chatham CASA is currently serving 62%. So we have increased our percentage since this last presentation. And so we are serving more children. However, our aim is to reach 100% of children in care in Chatham County by 2021, which is why you are the most important part of what we do. And we're so glad that you're here, because for us to reach more and serve more, we need more dedicated, heartfelt volunteers, community members like yourselves. So thank you for joining us. Here's a quote that we love, and you can read it here. And we think that at all, the root of what we're doing is we're advocating for the child's best interest. And we'll tell you a little bit more about what that looks like, but there can be no keener revelation than how we as a society treat our children. That's by Nelson Mandela. And as we're talking, I know we're gonna have Cole, who is a CASA volunteer, speak now about his experience. As you have a question, please go ahead and put that in the chat box. There will be a time at the end where we're going to answer all of those questions. Okay, and I just muted everyone, except let's see if Cole, if you could unmute yourself. I'm sorry that I did just mute you.
Am I unmuted now?
You are unmuted, yes.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I have been at CASA for about a little over a year and a half, I think, as the time frame. Mandy probably knows it a little bit better than I do, but in that time, I found that it's a very enjoyable experience as far as being able to change a child's life. You can see that there's some. They may be on the wrong path to going down the wrong path, or they may be doing stuff that's self-destructive, I guess is the best way to say it, or they may just be in an environment where the family situation isn't as good as it could be, and they need a lot of support, and the children don't really know how to help themselves. So the best thing that we can do as CASAs is help them help themselves, I guess is the best way to say it. And so we do a lot of the legwork, a lot of the groundwork around the cases, everything from all the court advocacy that you actually do physically in court, to a lot of my case. I had to do a lot of educational advocacy, whether it was with the child out of town or in Savannah, Chatham. So there's a lot of people that you touch. You learn a lot about the system. My background is not in social work. My background is not with children in general, other than my own children. But it's a real rewarding to be able to help somebody that needs that assistance in navigating the system, whether it's through DFACS or the court system, kind of giving them the idea of what they need to be doing, where they need to be, guiding them, I guess, being a little bit of a mentor in that case. But it really helps, and it's nice because my child that I'd been working on for a little over a year, he actually was reunited with his mother, so that's a very rewarding part of being a CASA, is actually reunification with the actual parents. And I know from talking to other volunteers and other people in the organization, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes there's cases where they cannot go back to their parents, and there's situations where the parents aren't available. So whether it's in foster care or somebody that's trying to go through adoption, that's a very, very big journey that the children have to go through, and they need to have help with that. And so that's where we come in. I don't by far understand all the legalese around all the court cases and all the documents that you look at, but you do a lot of research. There's a lot of investigation, whether it's medical records, school records, history, family history, anything like that. And if you get into the classes or the training, you'll go through the same thing that I did a couple of years ago. And it was really impressive that the organization supports as much as they do. Everybody that's in the CASA organization supports you as a CASA volunteer. They're there to help out, and so you're not thrown to the wolves, I guess is the best way to say it. And so it helps a lot with that support system as well, being a volunteer. You get to interact with other volunteers. You can bounce ideas off of other volunteers, anything like that. And that does a lot of, that's part of the support system that you have when advocating for children. Beyond that, you know, like I said, it's a lot of legwork, I guess is the best way to say. And so then you go through and you have to do your investigations. You have to write your reports, which are not the easiest things in the world to get through, but Mandy makes sure that you do it correctly. She keeps you on task. And then those court documents, those documents are brought up in court as the judges look to you, the children's courts look to you as being the advocate for that child, and so you have to be honest with everything that you say. So if you don't need to hide your opinions or hide your detail in any of the facts that you've found over the time that you've been investigating. If there's something wrong with the situation, then you need to voice it. Otherwise, nobody else in that organization knows there's an issue. You deal a lot with the parents, you deal a lot with the children, you deal a lot with the foster homes or the foster parents that the children are placed in, and so not everybody does their, and most people are more personable than I am in a lot of cases, but you know, that's the way it works. I mean, you get to know these people and you genuinely start to care for them, and make sure that they have everything. And with the reunification happening during this time of COVID, it was a really interesting dynamic between the school system, and the child was moved from out of county back to county, and getting that kind of support for him and his mom, whether it's assistance from the HUD assistance or any of that educational assistance, that's a lot of what we do as well. Kind of connect the dots between the two, and you're just making sure that the child's happy. We did a very good job of making sure he got what he needed educationally, and make sure that the doctors knew what they needed. Anything related to the child, you have access to all that information, and you advocate for that child to make sure that they can get the services that they need. And fortunately, like I said, my case was a reunification. So, and that's the best outcome of everything, instead of trying to break up families or anything. So that was a real rewarding opportunity. The last case was the last court date was the final gavel, and then it was all exciting because you got done. You felt like you accomplished something, and I think. In the training, I think they say that you try and do it within a year. You try and do reunification within a year, or disposition in a year. But I know a lot of the volunteers that have a lot longer cases. I've talked to a lot of them that have that have been on cases a lot longer. So it depends on what you have to do. So I rambled a little bit, Kayla. Is there anything else you wanted me to kind of talk? You know, I see Mandy laughing, so I can talk, but let me know.
Thank you. All righty. No, that was great. I'm going to put my earbuds back in, or my earphones. All righty. So that was great. And if you guys have a question about specifically what Cole was saying, go ahead and put that in the chat box. And we're going to just keep on going through that. So what is a CASA? So a CASA is Court Appointed Special Advocate, is the full term. Ultimately, what that means is a community member like yourself who is trained and invested and ready to change a child's story by way of advocating. And the way that a CASA does that is reaching out to all parties, the parent, the foster caregiver, the teachers, the counselors, the doctors, their physicians, their therapists, anybody that has a connection to that child that can give us a piece of the puzzle to understand what is their best interest. Taking all that information, you're compiling that, and then you're presenting that to the judge so that that is known and they have that representation, their voice is amplified in court. We know that, you may not know, but a child in foster care will have an attorney who may have a heavy load, 30, 40 kids, families at this point. They will have a social worker, a DFACS case manager,
also, which may have 30 children as well. You being that CASA, you are that dedicated, consistent individual in that child's life. So you are their one and only CASA. You will have that case, which could be more than one child if it's a sibling group, but you will be completely focused on advocating for that family unit or that child. Much like what Cole was saying, you'll spend time with them monthly. So COVID, right? It's a little different. You won't be going to their homes right now for the safety of both parties. In-person visits are suspended. So we got to get creative, right? Just as we're doing now, you'll be Zooming, FaceTiming, telephone calls monthly. Pre-COVID, that would be a face-to-face visit monthly. And then for those children that are placed 2 or more hours outside of this county, that would be a visit every 3 months. So right now we're not traveling, we're not doing those in-person visits, but you are still advocating by calling, researching, emailing, whatever it takes to get as much information to form what is their best interest holistically, okay? So speaking with the counselors, you guys see evaluating all areas of their life and forming that report.
I think we might have lost Kayla. Just 1 second. I think she's having some technical difficulties. 1 second. Sorry guys, her computer crashed on, crashed real quick, but she's getting back on right now. 1 second. Okay, just to kind of fill in until Kayla gets back, the next piece of the presentation is just speaking about training and what that kind of looks like. So due to COVID, we've kind of started a new type of training. We are doing all virtual training. So it'll be all kind of like this in a Zoom setting. And that will entail of a total of 30 hours. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it is a lot of information to go over. And we usually do probably about 2 hours once a week is when we would meet. And also along with that 30 hours, we do require 10 hours of court observation. So right now, all of our court hearings are being held virtually as well. So you will get a schedule and you will sign up for whatever court hearings you are available for. And that's how you will observe court. And we really like for our CASAs and training to really see how things happen in the courtroom, because that really helps you kind of put what you're learning in the classroom and see how it looks like in real life in the courtroom. So that is the training. I do want to mention too, when Kayla was talking about all the people that you talk to and records that you obtain, you will get a appointment order from the court, from the judge. So that will give you access to all the children's records. You can get their medical records, counseling notes, anything pertaining to that child with that appointment order from the judge, it gives you that legal right to that access. And I think Kayla's back. Are you back, Kayla?
I'm back.
Yay.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
All right.
Right?
Yes. All right. So where did we go?
I was talking a little bit about the training requirements,
Okay.
hours, and court observation.
Perfect. 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 Let's see. All right. So not that far back. All right. So perfect. So I will share this just because I do want you guys to know the impact that you can have on the life of a child, and then we'll pick right back up with those requirements of getting you started, getting you trained, fully prepared to be that CASA. So children with the CASA, as you can see, twice as likely to find a safe permanent home. Cole started with that's the best outcome. We are a reunification first organization. We will do all that we can to get the family reunified if and when it's possible. There are certain situations when it's not for the safety of the child, but if there is something within our resource, whether that means putting a CASA on a case of a mother who has substance use disorder, or working with the biological parent, fictive kin, so someone that's like auntie but no blood relation, to make sure that they are remaining tied to their family, that's going to be the first option, right? And they're twice as likely to get that safe permanent home with you on the case. Half as likely to re-enter the foster care system, fewer out-of-home placements, and they receive those services because they have that person, that constant with them to catch what's needed, to slow down, take the time, and know what's best for the family, know what's best for the child, and keeping that family unit intact. And then more likely to succeed. So I wanted you guys to know that in a perfect world, we wouldn't need you. We wouldn't need foster care, right? None of us would be here if it wasn't the reality. But because it is the reality, we are going to work together and do all that we can to make sure that while these children are in this topsy-turvy time in an overburdened system, that we step in and we fill that void, because that's what CASAs are. We are not going to overshadow the case manager. We are going to advocate appropriately with them. And I say appropriately because there are lines, there are things that they're doing, that we're doing. We're all working together to get that child to a safe home. Permanent, not just safe, but permanent, loving home. Okay? And so when you have advocacy, costs less than 1 month of foster care. As I was mentioning earlier, we're aiming for 100%, right? There's a lot of kids in foster care that need you. Right now we have a staff, we're adding on another member of staff so that we're ready for you to step in and bring us to that 100%. So you guys can see the numbers there, how much impact you can have by joining on. Anyone who does anything to help a child is a hero to me. I say it every time I get a chance. You guys are the rock and the most important part of what we do. We could do it without volunteers. Not a single thing. So, CASA pre-service training. Guys can see right now there's no in-person. It's all online. That 15 hours in person is really 15 hours in a setting like this through Zoom, and then another 15 hours where you're working in like a chat, kind of like a group discussion where you post a response. You have your peers that are in the same training class as you posting as well, in addition to 10 hours of courtroom observation, which is also virtual, but tentatively we'll be starting in person soon. Very, strict, limitations on who's attending, social distancing, all of those things. So everything is virtual, but the time commitment remains the same. And then 12 hours of in-service annually, which we foster a lot of those opportunities. There's books, there's movies, there are a plethora of ways that you can still make that happen. We just want to equip you to do the best at what you're doing, and then be that resource. In addition to any other opportunity where you might be just talking with your coordinator. We're always available. You're never alone. Even in those courtrooms, you'll have a coordinator that will be with you. That is your supervisor, which, as you guys saw the model, there's a advocacy coordinator, excuse me, and then under there's a group of CASA volunteers. In addition to that, we also foster opportunities for you guys to just hang out, and then you might just take the bull by its horns and you foster that opportunity yourself, and you guys find something and you just do it together. I guess it's a little different with COVID, but there's Zoom parties, there's Zoom dance things, there's all kinds of Zoom stuff now. So that's what training will look like. And then there are the things that have to happen in alignment with trainings, which is your screening, application, and interview. So step one is learning about the opportunity, getting those questions out. Is this a fit for me? That's what we're doing here. After that, an email will be sent to you all if you want to move to the next step of the process, which is the application. It's online. You go in there, you fill it in, name, address, things like that, references. And from there, once your application is received, we'll reach out to you for an interview. And the interview is to see if we're a good fit for you, and if you're a good fit for us, right? I say there's not an education requirement, there's not a work requirement, there's only a heart requirement. Like, your heart has to be in it. This is not the type of opportunity where you can go and stuff a bag, though needed and valued. It's not that one and done. You ask that you make that commitment of at least a year. Cole said it, many times they go much longer, sometimes much shorter. We just had a reunification occur and the case started in April. We love to see that, short time in care, family back together, but that's not always the case. So we do check references 3, fingerprints, criminal history, sex offender registry. You guys can see a verification. What we're looking for is things that indicate harm to a child. And that's really the only thing that would disqualify you. Just like with any interview, just be open. When we get it back, it's not a surprise to us. We all have a past. And that doesn't limit your ability to advocate for a child now. So just putting that out there. That's all of the prepared slideshow, right? At this time, I want to take the time to see if you guys have any questions. I know I've given you a lot. I had a computer glitch, so Mandy gave me some stuff you may have heard twice at that point. So does anyone have any questions or things that you thought of that you want to know the answers for? Feel free at this point, just unmute yourself. I'm going to stop my screen share, and then we can answer those questions. And coordinators, if there's something that you guys want to pitch in that you guys want to always cover, please do.
There was a question in the chat box from Kim, but I believe we answered it. What type of skill set are you looking for in your volunteers? And like Kayla said, I think we're just, as a CASA, we're really looking for really that passion and that heart to help children that need the help, and really have the heart to advocate for them and make sure whatever services they are getting are the best for them. They're getting what they need as well. So really just that heart. And like Cole said, he doesn't have a background in social work. So, all of our volunteers come from all different types of careers and things like that. So there's no one set area that would make you a better CASA or not. It's just that heart and that passion.
I will add a couple of traits that will be beneficial. And coordinators, please chime in. I want to say fearlessness. That courtroom, there's a lot of conversations happening. There are attorneys, 3 and 4 of them at times. There's judges. There's a case manager, the supervisor, other parties. I say fearless because you cannot be afraid to speak up for what you have taken the whole month to learn about this child and their family, to advocate for what you think is best for them. And when the chance is given to talk, that you talk with conviction, because this is, like I say, the hard part, because if you have that heartfelt conviction, then you could say, hey, I spoke with the child, I spoke with the family, I spoke with the liaison, whomever it is. And when given that chance, you are able to articulate that in court. So is Chatham County the only county you serve? Okay, so yes, our territory is children that are placed in the court of Savannah, Chatham County. However, the children are not always placed in Chatham County because there's only limited homes. And basically we ran out of homes that can support the 440 children. So there are other CASAs across the nation. So if it's more convenient, so also because the court is in in Chatham County, our CASA is Chatham County, that's where court is held. Though not in person now, when it is in person, it will always be in Chatham County. So if you yourself are in another county or state, you could send us an email and we could kind of help you locate the CASA that's going to be most convenient to you, because all court hearings will be held in Chatham County. Let's see. What are you typically lobbying for in most cases? So each case begins with reunification, correct, Mandy or Susan? Is that? Okay, so we first go for reunifying the family with whatever measure that means taken, right? If that means connecting them with resources because there's a child with behavior issues, finding what that means, how do we resolve that issue, how do we connect them with that so that when they do go back home and are reunified, there's not the coming back into foster care. So that's always gonna be first. So no, there are many CASAs that that have a full-time job that are working currently. I will say that up front, the heavy part, the most time-consuming part is training. Trainings are currently held in the evenings. So around 5 to 8 for 6 weeks total. So there's that 30 hours. The online portal, you get the assignment on one Thursday and you turn that in the next Thursday where you all discuss it as a team, as a class, a cohort that's in training together. And then from there, I would say your discovery could be between 5 to 10 hours a month. And that's right now calling, emails, Zoom calls. Court, in the beginning, you'll have about a 1 hour to 2.5 hour court hearing. I've had one court hearing for every 2 weeks for the last 6 weeks. So 3 times I've been in court. I know it's kind of iffy. Mandy, can you help me out with about the time commitment that a full-time person could expect?
It's a little different, so
different, right?
That one. But yeah, so usually in regards to court hearings, once you first get a new case and it's a child just removed from the home, there are a lot more hearings up front more often. But once you get past the 6-month mark, usually hearings are once every 6 months.
Okay.
So you know about those hearings.
I have a very unique case.
You really do, Kayla. But then other time commitments, like throughout the case, usually volunteers spend about 10 to 15 hours a month working on their case, just depending on what's going on and how many different people that they have to talk to. But again, that communication is more at the beginning of the case because of course you're trying to get to know everybody, know the background, know everybody's story, things like that. So as the case goes on, the time for follow-up is a lot less.
Yeah.
So usually our volunteers spend about 10 to 15 hours a month on their cases.
Okay. Any other questions? Who's ready to sign up? Awesome. You have a question, Mark? You can unmute yourself at this point if you guys want to. I'm okay with that. I would love to hear from you.
No question. I'm ready.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, those count me in.
Awesome. Yeah, so there will,
Oh, I was just going to say we had another question. Will we have one case at a time? So yes, so usually our CASAs only have 1 to 2 cases, but definitely starting off, you'll only have 1 case just while you're still getting acquainted with everything and learning the CASA process. And I mean, that's our whole model as well, is we want our CASAs to have that more one-on-one interaction and really know our kids, because the system is overburdened right now. Like our case managers have 30 to 40 cases, and it's just impossible for them to be able to have that one-on-one like a CASA is able to do. So that's another reason why CASA is so important. And then we had another question about training online now.
Oh, so that a good point. That's a good question. Training, our next training class starts in August. If we haven't filled that class yet, it's close to being full. And so what'll happen is, as these applications and interviews are being conducted, you will then go on a waiting list. And so we'll contact you, well in advance to see if you want to go ahead and get into the next training class and be in queue to attend that class. We like to keep it small. I say small, it's a group of 20, but we found that that's probably the size that we can really hold a really good conversation and really get to know your class and have some really good conversations. I don't know how much you guys are Zooming, but I think 20 is about the capacity of where you can really have a good group discussion and feel like you're involved, not overshadowed, but wide enough to get a range of perspective, because a lot of what you're doing in training is learning from each other, and having that guidance as well as what that really means from CASA, but also that part. So,
and then we had another good question from Laura. She asked, do you take into account a volunteer's bandwidth when assigning cases of high complexity? So yes, we don't just assign any old case to any old volunteer. So once you get sworn in and you're assigned your coordinator will really get to know you and what you are comfortable doing, and kind of, I guess, your availability and skill level and things like that. But also we take into account what you're comfortable with. So some volunteers might just be comfortable working with male teenagers, or just females, or a certain age range. So we definitely take those things into accountability, because we want you to be successful in this volunteer opportunity as well. So yeah, your coordinator will really get to know you and what best case fits you the best as possible, because sometimes at first we don't know where things might lead. So I will put that disclaimer out there.
So quick question, just with the COVID-19, this is Eric Gracious, by the way, thanks for all the information. It's been really, really great. Have you had struggles with the conversion to fully remote? How's it been for the kids engaging remotely versus the in-person? Has there been any challenges with that, or has that been hard for folks, or relatively easy, or what's that been like?
Honestly, I think it's worse on our volunteers, because they're having withdrawals. They're missing seeing their kids.
Sure.
So our volunteers are struggling with that. But I mean, I think the kids, I mean, they're probably better with technology than we are. So, but I haven't seen any issues doing the virtual visits and things like that. So
That's great.
and we try to, I say we try to support the idea of being creative with it. I mean, like just on our recent newsletter, Holland had found a resource where they're doing virtual tours, which is something that we would love to facilitate and say, hey, the 3 of us want to get on Zoom and we go explore the Smithsonian Natural History Museum. Like, that's different, but it can be done just being creative. So there are those limitations, but for the most part, like Mandy was saying, they miss seeing them. Like, you will grow attached, like they will be a part of your heart. Even if you don't want them to, they will become that. Yeah.
Definitely.
those are good questions. Does anybody have anything else? Awesome. Anything the coordinators that are on the call might want to share? Put me on the spot a little bit. Okay. I think they're going to be shy tonight, Kayla.
Well, I don't have anything else. Oh, you got something, Sharon. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I will say, I think prior to, I guess, the last 3 weeks, when COVID hit, we were able to, our vols were able to go out and do social distancing. Like, say the kids were on the porch and we would be like out, like maybe on the sidewalk. So we were able to do that at one point, just trying to do something different, but still keeping that social distancing. But now DFACS has said no because the numbers are rising again. So just putting it out there, we did have to stop it, but we were trying to come up with ways where they could still see the children, but still stay safe.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool at first too, being able to still see the kids.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, but I mean, we take our volunteers and our kids' health very seriously, and we don't want to be spreading anything that we can prevent. So, unfortunately, until things get a little bit better, it's going to still be suspended. So hopefully, things will get better.
Kim, could you tell me more about what you mean by supervisory review or? Oh, before going to court. So yes, you will, so as I was saying, there's a court report that you will complete before going to, going in and having that. And you would have spoken to all the parties in addition to speaking to your coordinator probably throughout the month at different times to ensure that the information you're gathering is, thorough, is concise, presented well. And then there also is opportunities where I believe it's called pre-court staffing coordinators, if I'm saying that's the wrong, where you work with your coordinator before going to court. And they'll be reaching out to you, you reach out to them, even if it's just a text message that you're on the right path. So yes, you will have that, that review for that. Sure, I can, Jamie wants the copy of this presentation, feel free, I can send you that. And then I also could recommend that if you have any other information that you would need, you more than likely have it on the website, but I'll send you my email now so you can reach out to me and we can get that flow going. And where to sign up and get on the training list. Yeah, so everyone that is attending now, we're gonna email each of you an invitation to complete the application. Once that application is completed, we'll have one of our staff members, which I believe is Teresa, will reach out to you to schedule that interview. After the interview, then we'll put you on the training list. Good questions, y'all. All good questions. Any additionals? And I will. Kimberly has a little visitor.
Sorry, Kayla.
All righty, well, I'm gonna send, who was that? Oh, Jamie. I'll send you my email, Jamie, and if there are no other questions, you guys, just be on the lookout for that email and feel free to, oh, go ahead, more questions?
There was one more question. Where can find a list of other CASA agency locations? So if you're, actually, I think you can just go to the National CASA website, or if you're looking within Georgia, you can go to the Georgia CASA website, which is gacasa.org. Yes. I'll put that in the box too, so you'll have that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, so thank you guys, and you have a good evening. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to email info@savannahcasa.org. And we appreciate you. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
There's another visitor. Laura had a kitty cat.
Oh, we're used to that.
I know. I always have a visitor.
That's funny. Oh, I need to stop.
Yeah, the